Hello, data enthusiasts. Today's conversation is with Sitian Gao. She is analytics project lead at Wayfair. She covers global or international markets. She also has experience working in both the US and the German markets, and that formed the topic of today's conversation, a comparative look at some of the tools, processes, ways of working, and even hiring structures of data teams across Germany and the US. We also finished with some predictions and some advice for the German data community or for folks joining the German data community. Enjoy the podcast. As I understand, today's topic is about the data landscape and trends between Germany and the US. So my first question, in a nutshell, in the data industry, what do you see to be the biggest differences between Germany and the US?
I think, in my opinion, the first one stood out is in the US, we kind of expect people work in the data or analytics industry know at least a little bit of everything. It includes how to do an A/B test, how to manipulate data, essentially like data engineering, business intelligence, and then how do you convince stakeholders with your analytics result. So a lot of skill sets are required for the data analytics professional in the US. In Germany, in general, we do see the roles are being more specific, tailored towards to one area. It can be a role that is specifically focused on business intelligence or analytics engineering, and sometimes product analytics more specifically. Yeah, so that's like the most like the biggest differences that stood out to me. And in terms of the second differences that I have observed, mainly around the tools that people are using. Sometimes you see the job descriptions in Germany requires people to be able to leverage SAP, but somehow in the US, it's not a very popular tool among all the analytics career or job descriptions. But there is a trend on more cloud-focused tools starting to be more presence in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. I wouldn't have picked out SAP, but that's largely because my work as a data recruiter works with tech startups and scale-ups rather than enterprise scale. And I understand with your background at Wayfair, they are enterprise scale, so it's more likely that they'd be using SAP in Europe. Would that be accurate?
At my workplace, we don't use SAP that much, only a few departments, maybe finance. But we mainly use a lot of cloud-based tools like Google BigQuery, Google Cloud, Python, and dbt. So a lot of cloud-based tools, and which are similar to many startups and scale-ups. But I do see that in Wayfair, you kind of need to know everything about analytics to be able to work as a data professional in the organization. So still has like a lot of skill sets that you need to have to be able to work in this kind of environment.
Okay, so same kind of standardized skills across Wayfair. But then Wayfair is an American company, so you might expect that.
Yeah.
All right. People often say, and I'm speaking about data professionals, that Germany is far behind where it needs to be in terms of data standards, data processes, and even the ways of working. What are your thoughts on that? You've worked in both American and German-based teams now. What's your understanding about how processes and how teams work in the US and Germany?
So first of all, thanks for the question about this one. And I do observe that outside of Wayfair, I have asked some of my friends how do they work in the more German based company in the data teams. And they are very standardized in processes, that's for sure, because Germany is a process-driven environment, and that's also expected in the data field. American companies are more, for example, Wayfair, our Berlin team works similar with the processes, and like how we work is similar to our Boston team. So you probably will see this a lot in the international companies, that they work with similar techniques and processes. But if you're talking about more German companies specifically, I do think they have more established roles for everyone. So everyone, say, for example, you're building a dashboard for a stakeholder in the BI team. A German company might have a role called BI developer, who writes the code in the backend, and a data product manager who gathers all the stakeholder requests and shape what's the dashboard gonna look like. And then you might also have a project manager to manage all the projects on the team. So this role is kind of split in 3 different domains. And in the US company, you often see one person to do all of the 3 projects, all of the 3 domains together, and working under a people manager in data. So that's like the organizational difference. But I think the amount of work might be similar. Like the work could be similar. But you do see one person in the US data team can cover end-to-end project more often. That's my observations.
Interesting. How would that impact project delivery? If in the States you have one person doing 3 different areas, and in Germany you have 3 people doing 3 different areas, surely one would deliver more quickly, or one would, or one team would be able to deliver the same amount in a shorter time. I mean, I'm just applying logic there, but perhaps it's quite different in reality.
Say you have 3 analysts in the US company that are working with 3 different projects. Then one of each will work on the project end to end, and then you will be able to, your team will be able to deliver 3 projects. And also you have 3 different people working on 3 different roles within the German company on 3 different projects. And the BI developer or analytics engineer will only work on the back end for all of the 3 projects. And then the product manager could take all the product managing work for all of 3 projects. And the project manager probably only manage the timeline and the sprints to make sure everything is delivered on time. So it's about how do you utilize people and their time
across different projects. In the case of Germany, and in the case of the US, single person works end to end.
I think I sort of sense a little bit different on career development in data people along different places.
Oh, okay.
Um, in the US company, I mean, in my workplace, people want to develop their skill sets, end-to-end skill sets from back-end to be able, and also stakeholder management, product management, and also project management. So they can, they're willing to multi aspects of their skill sets in the career development. But maybe in Germany, in other more German company, like more traditional local company, people have different focuses on their career development. They could be, okay, I wanted to do analytics engineering, so I'm just only going to focus on this domain, and I wanted to keep developing this domain. So that differences also create the differences in your team setup and also the expectations of different roles, different places.
Okay. Given your position as analytics project lead, do you think, or in terms of data professionals being full stack or data professionals being specialized in a specific area, what do you think delivers the most productivity for the team and for the data professional?
It's a good question. I think in my team, we tried both. It kind of doesn't really impact everyone's productivity. Initially, we tried the end-to-end model. Then you will find out some people, they wanted to work on more specific on the management part of the project or the data product. Then we transitioned them into a more specific role focused on more stakeholder management and product management. And then they realize, okay, I still miss the coding part in my job. And so I kind of wanted to also do that in my day-to-day. And then somehow this model transitioned back to end-to-end. So we tried different models, and then I mean, for our team, the end-to-end model works for the best. It also depends on what kind of people are in your team and what works for them the best.
What do you this trend of data professionals working on projects in an end-to-end data capacity, what do you think is the reason for this trend emerging? Because it seems to go against the other trend that you mentioned, and that is Germany having data specialists that work in a specific area rather than full stack.
I do see full stack matches more of the requirement of scale ups and startups due to resource limitations and budgeting. And in terms of German companies, I do think if you see specialists, then they're typically in bigger organizations that are more established. The startups here that I observed in Berlin, they also kind of have sometimes they only have one analytics person doing everything. It definitely has to do a lot with the scale of the company.
But Wayfair, although Wayfair delivers
culture.
in this hyper productive way, they're still a huge organization, right?
Yeah.
But they're also American, so that they fall into that trend of the full stack data professional. Given that this end-to-end data professional works well in the States, do you see that emerging as a data professional requirement in Germany as well, or in Europe?
I think with the industry development, someone wants to develop their skill sets further in the data field, then they will learn different techniques and platforms and tech tools to develop the skills further. So I do this trend starting now here as well, because there are so many tools out there already for data analytics. If you don't want to fall behind, then definitely develop the skill sets for full stack is really long-term focused, and then you could find your interests in the long term of where do you exactly want to focus on. Some people focus on more data engineering and analytics engineering, so they wanted to be able to become the lead or more specialized in that field. Some people are focusing more on product analytics or marketing analytics, so they can transition into more senior positions in those fields. Definitely depends on where you want it to grow and what's the market trend. But right now, I do see the requirement for a data role is getting higher and higher. So, which means you need to know a lot of different tools, and I have done a lot of different projects in many different areas. Yeah.
Okay, super. Well, with that, in your projects, you've mentioned tools a couple of times now. What are the trends around emerging tools for data professionals to be at superior skill level? What do they need to be using day to day or week to week or project to project?
I can break this down for a couple of different analytics positions. So first of all, on BI and analytics engineering, DBT is quite trendy right now. So it's data lineage tool, and it provides a lot of qualities on data catalog, data lineage, and metric layers. So this is quite important for analytics engineering and business intelligence. And then if we move into product analytics, then definitely statistical modeling and A/B testing and Python or R, and also the A/B testing platforms. Sometimes I also see those came up in the job descriptions. And we go further into an emerging position in the data field, which is called data product manager. So this role requires a lot of experience in analytics and also product management to be able to scope what the data product is and how do you gather stakeholder requests, how do you prioritize different requests, and shaping the data product for the organization. Those are the So as for a data product manager, then you kind of need to know Agile pretty well. The basic understanding, at least a basic understanding of coding in SQL and Python.
We did see an emerging trend of data product managers and hiring needs, and then we saw it level off last year, where there wasn't as much interest or demand for it. But certainly, to be a data product manager, you can't just simply come from product management. You have to have worked on data products. Excuse me. As for product analysts, yes, we see the same emergence, the need for Python, and certainly A/B testing as well, being a common way of delivering a product. What platforms would you recommend then in terms of A/B testing?
There's currently a new platform called StatsTig, and they are developed by a group of ex-Facebook people. So Facebook is well known in the industry that they have a really good internal tool for A/B testing, and all the Facebook data scientists loved their internal tool to do the A/B testing. So a group of them developed a company in the Bay Area to do A/B testing, and they're doing pretty well now. And I have seen some Berlin companies adopting this tool.
Okay. Could you repeat that? Is it StatStick?
It's stat, sig. Sig is significance, and stat is.
Aha. Okay.
Yeah.
StatSig. Okay, I'll check it out. And I will also leave a link for others to check out as well. And then finally, you mentioned the use of DBT. Yes, we also see a lot of this in the BI and analytics space in Germany. And would that mirror the US at the moment?
I think DBT has been in the US for quite some time. But more recently, they have taken a really good momentum on growth. And I think larger organizations wants to have consistency on how do you measure metrics and KPIs, and how do you establish data catalog. DBT is a quite powerful tool. Yeah. So.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, very similar trend in Germany. And with respect to, again, being a project lead that you are, how have you seen data teams structured, whether it be centralized analytics teams versus embedded or some kind of hybrid model? How have you seen that comparison in the US data teams and German data teams?
I guess it kind of related to what industry the company is in, and also what the stage is this company. So if it's a startup, then you could have one centralized data team with 5 people to 10 people to do everything from data engineering to analytics. So they kind of takes care of everything analytics. With a larger organization, you can kind of see maybe there is a centralized data team in one vertical. Say for customer service, we have this centralized analytics team, and then for finance, they have their own centralized analytics team. So larger organizations sometimes use just basically a hybrid model. You do see analytics team being embedded in the sub teams. Also, you see a centralized analytics team for the broader organization that they work on more broader projects. All boils down to the company's hiring strategy and how much they value their analytics and data, and also the stage of the company.
How much they value their data. So if a company prioritized data and they supremely valued it, would they be going with a centralized analytics team or a fully embedded analytics team, or fully embedded analytics teams across different business units?
I think you will see the third option more often if they really invest in data analytics, because then each department wants to have their own analytical power to drive their decision making, and so that they require a lot of domain understanding from their data analytics team, and this team will be able to give really valuable suggestions to the business and create really good data product for business.
Okay, cool, nice. Thank you for sharing that. Interesting insights so far. How about emerging data roles? You mentioned data product management. What other roles do you see emerging across either the US or German markets or across both of them?
I do think analytics engineering is quite a hype right now, and I do see the value of analytics engineering. Basically, it's a more technical analytics role that requires both coding skills, stakeholder management, and understanding of the business. It's slightly different than traditional data engineering role.
Yeah, the analytics engineer, a popular position, certainly in Germany. Has that for a long time been the case in the US? Is it still the approach to analytics engineers are that conduit between engineers or engineering and infrastructure and analytics?
I think I heard about the story on Netflix establishing their analytics engineering role a couple of years ago. So could be that the trend is already there in the US. Also, it depends on basically how your organization values data analytics. And Netflix definitely utilize data to make a lot of decisions daily, and they have a huge data science team, and they do a lot of experimentation. So I do see analytics engineering started somehow there, and then kind of grow more broadly in other tech companies.
Interesting. It strikes me that, as you say, the analytics professional in the US would work end to end and therefore have a whole spectrum of skills and could easily or more easily adapt to analytics engineering. But the German data professional would need to go all out and learn specifically analytics engineering because their skills are more tuned with one area at a time. How do you see that transition for the German data professional to take on more of the analytics engineering duties and activities? Is it a steeper hill to climb?
I don't think it's a steeper hill to climb. Mainly needs to do a couple of projects at work, learn about different tools. Yeah, I think it's not a very difficult learning curve. Just need to maybe shape your projects in a way that similar to an analytics engineer.
Okay, all right, fair enough. You've shared somewhat about the emerging roles and about some of the technology or tools and even the org structures. How do you see the next 18 months to 3 years evolving in the data industry, be it across the States or Germany?
I think more and more companies taking a lead on hiring more data professionals. That's for sure, because everyone nowadays realize it's important, and the data team can create a lot of value. But we do also see that with the economy is not growing as faster as before, and the overall hiring trend is not very good in the current market. So you kind of seeing the needs of this type of professional, but also a not very optimistic outlook on the economy growth. I think it will gradually pick up on the data roles, just need to take some time.
Okay. So slow economy for sure, but data tech is emerging, and we are seeing more data positions than ever before. I should imagine with that, if that continues and the economy gets stronger, we're going to see even more data hiring. What roles do you think will most be in demand across data? Is it analytics engineers or data analysts or product analysts or?
I think my observation is probably data analysts or business intelligence analysts, where they do a lot of back end coding and also dashboard building to provide the basic need of business review reporting. Because a lot of traditional companies are picking up on this end, and also the tech industry always needs this role. So I would say this role is going to be constantly strong.
Okay, the data analysts or the BI engineers. All right,
Yeah.
interesting. And as well as those back-end skills, as well as the standard dashboarding and reporting skills, do you see those positions having a need for data science, building, maintaining algorithms?
Yes, I think data science requires some ad hoc work on the dashboard builds for the performance of their models or their algorithms, because they also have metrics that they measure. So sometimes they'll also build ad hoc dashboards.
All right, okay, good to know. Sitian, my final question to you. You've shared some insights about the differences and similarities between Germany and the US. What would be your parting piece of advice for data professionals, particularly coming from the US or the UK to Germany? Should they be prepared for different expectations or to work differently or to work with different tools?
I guess with more younger company scale ups or startups, the processes are less defined. Then you have a lot of room to define how to work with different people in the organization in terms of the data and analytics. And tools, also companies are searching for a good tool, but also an effective tool. So far, we do see a lot of companies that use AWS, Google Cloud, and dbt, and some of them use also Microsoft tools. It also just depends what the company has signed up for. But in general, need to know a lot of SQL, Python, data visualization tools, and dbt.
So it's about tooling, be prepared to use modern stack tools, and also potentially, to your first point, expect ambiguity because different environments deliver in different ways. Okay, any other pieces of advice?
Also, they would also expect you to educate your stakeholders or people you are working with on how to use data to drive decision making. That is also important. In a lot of places that I see, they ask you, do you have experience on convincing someone with data, or do you have experience on build a data-driven culture in your previous organization? So I think here I see a lot of companies are requiring influencing with data as well.
That's a very strong point, I'd suggest. A lot of businesses have a focus across teams on educating stakeholders. If we were to narrow that down to the individual, certainly a great piece of advice for data professionals to start upskilling on social skills, negotiation, the power of influencing, all in line with educating your business stakeholders on the power of data.
Yeah, because essentially, why do we have a data team? Means data team needs to create the insights to drive the business when people cannot see if they don't have data. So organizations will expect you to drive that part of conversation from a data team. You have to know how to present your work, how to talk to stakeholders, and understand the business, and how do you use your influence to help them make better decisions. Yeah, it boils down to basically if it's a product analytics role, how do you use analytics and A/B testing to influence product team? And then for business intelligence, how do you make sure stakeholders get correct metrics across the board? And how do you define the metrics? How can you align the metric definition? Those are really important because they don't want different people in different departments talking about the same metric in a different way. So you would have to influence people to establish the correct metric definition and align them, and then provide the metrics in the accurate way. And then in terms of like analytics engineering, kind of needs to be really good at backend and also understand what the stakeholder requests are and how can you use the most effective way to achieve it. Yeah, so all in all, it's a very technical role, but requires a lot of soft skills. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for that extra oversight there. Wonderful. I'll leave it there then, Sitian. Thank you very much for your insights today. And yeah, where can people find out more about you and the work that you do, or if they have any questions for you?
They can just message me on LinkedIn, and yeah.
Sweet. Okay, thanks, and see you next time.
Thank you.